Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. When Pat Riley was trying to lure LeBron James to come to Miami, he took out a handful of NBA championship rings and spread them out on the table. It worked. It apparently didn't work for Josh McDaniels, whose 6 rings in the Super Bowl apparently wasn't good enough, as Jimmy-Haslam took the analytics baseball guy, Paul-Depodesta, over a key guy in Bill Belichick's organization. And for another chapter in McDaniels' book, reports have surfaced that Haslam wanted a meeting every Friday afternoon so they could go over the game plan together. I might have felt better about the signing of Kevin Stefanski if he had told the owner what to do with that game plan, but I guess everybody has his own price. We've got Terry Pluto here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Monday night, it's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine, into our 24th consecutive season and exclusively seen on cleveland.com. Terry Pluto, not necessarily exclusively, but very importantly with cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, and a book. I understand you've written a book or two.
Now and then.
Book or two in the MGs.
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad to be able to be writing much of anything, so that's good.
I'll tell you what, this is. I didn't even know you were writing a book. You kept it a secret. I don't know why you did that.
I usually don't tell people till they're done, because sometimes I start them and they don't finish. So.
Well, it's really neat. It's one you can just pick up any page. You don't have to follow in order, and it's terrific because, well, it's terrific for me because I lived all the same things you're talking about. Coming down with your dad on the game. We used to take the 32-beat bus and come on down. And the old arena, you know what I remember most about the old arena? You'd walk in and you'd look at the other side of the where the seats were, and people smoked all the time. Remember, people. It looked like I don't know what it looked like, a zoo or a circus or something.
Men wearing hats, smoking cigarettes,
ties.
And hanging above it was this smoke.
Yeah.
And it gave this eerie feeling. Of course, the players also smoked at halftime in the locker room.
Right. And by the way,
which is perfect things for a basketball player. You really want to. Let's go the unfiltered route.
Gary Suter used to just go get a couple of hot dogs during the game.
Yeah, he did. He also went, after he got cut by the Cavaliers, he also went to a funeral parlor just down the street.
To do what?
He was making calls. Somehow he talked the owner in that he was making calls to call somebody's family who had died on the team. He actually is making before cell phones, making long-distance calls to other teams to try and get his job after he'd been cut. Because
from the funeral home,
they came to the Cavaliers. This guy ran out like $300 worth of phone bills.
Well, people who are under 35 don't know what a long-distance call is.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that we have in our life that costs less today than it did back then.
It is, because it's amazing. You know, it's almost like $1 a minute. So it's like calling the Chicago Bulls or the Philadelphia 76ers and trying to get a job.
You know, it was really strange.
I mean, the story was bizarre from beginning to end, because it's like, why would you go into a funeral home? Why would the funeral home say, go ahead and use the phone?
I don't know that answer, but what I do know is I remembered seeing the Boston Celtics come across the street, Euclid Avenue, right? You had that, I forget what hotel it was, and there was a Chinese restaurant there.
Right.
And they wouldn't dress in the locker room at the arena because it was too disgusting, too whatever, germ-filled. And they would dress at the hotel across the street, and then they'd walk across in their warm-up uniforms.
A guy sent me an email, said he almost ran over Will Chamberlain.
He didn't see him.
It was like this purple monster walking across. It was a snowstorm.
Right.
And, he was walking across, Euclid.
Right.
Right down Euclid, as the late Fred McCloud would say.
Right.
And there was Wilt, and it's all purple, and he's coming down the street. It was, the book opens with the discussion of the old arena and moves from there.
For people who don't know what we're talking about, if they're 40 and younger, they ought to go Google Pete Pete Maravich's top plays or something, because out of the top plays, 4 or 5 are at the old Cleveland Arena. And you'll look at that place and say, that was a place where the NBA played?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to look at. That's back also when the NBA played places like armories, as they were known.
Right.
And it'd be fun. It's fun to go look at some of the older pictures. And of course, now if you drive down Euclid around 34th, where was it?
It was the 36th in Euclid,
Yeah,
between 36 and
Euclid.
38.
There's a nice building there that has nothing to do with the old arena.
Right.
But really, the old arena was old, and it was time to go. But I was, stunned I had kept this program from when I was a kid, when the old Cincinnati Royals played a few games there every year.
Right.
Because they weren't drawn that much in Cincinnati. Sure. And my father took me to a game the Royals played the Knicks in the late 60s. And this program I had, there were all these players after the game just hanging by the court. I don't know if they're waiting for a bus to go home or what to Cincinnati. And there were some of the Knicks. I counted, there's 5 Hall of Fame autographs.
Oh, no
like Oscar Robertson, Willis Reed, Bill Bradley.
Jerry Lucas.
Yeah. And there's like 14 autographs. Everybody, there's like 3 of us getting autographs.
Is this when Cousy was the player coach?
Cousy was the player coach.
All right. Speaking of coaches, we got to get to some stuff here.
Yes.
Kevin Stefanski, what does he bring to the Browns before we put up what our graphics tell us? What does he bring? We don't know.
We don't know. The same thing Eric Benamy would have brought, the same thing Brian Daboll would have brought, the same thing any of those guys would have brought. Now, I'm not a McDaniels guy, and we could talk about that a little later. But one thing he doesn't bring is some of McDaniels' baggage, which is significant.
Well, which part? The Indianapolis part? The Denver part is still 10 years ago. I would hope.
The Indianapolis part is bad.
Indianapolis part is bad, and it was only a couple years ago, too.
Yeah, and did you know about the 3 assistants? Did you ever hear? I wrote this. Did you see this?
I'm sure I did. About
3 assistants.
They moved, didn't they?
They took contracts on this guy's word.
Right.
Went there. To the Colts' credit, they kept them all 3 for 1 year, and actually 2 more are still on the staff. But how do you do that, Wes?
I don't know.
In other words, it wasn't like I took the job and then overnight I changed my mind.
No, but he probably talked to Belichick a little bit about it, and Belichick basically did the same thing with the New York Jets.
So that's a wonderful character flaw. But first of all, I have to admit, if that had happened with the Browns, it'd be so Browns.
Yes. It's about time somebody else did something.
And I will ask, Your Honor, I have another piece of evidence.
Okay.
Why is it, tell me, Mr. Levine, the New York Giants didn't interview Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, they interviewed the guy below him on the totem pole.
And hired him. And canceled their interview with Josh McDaniels.
Well, they might have, just to play devil's advocate, they might have been pretty sure that McDaniels was going to be with the Browns.
Your Honor, why did Carolina have an interview with Josh McDaniels and then cancel it?
They too might have been told, hey, don't waste your time, he's going to the Browns.
Maybe, or maybe when they dug a little deeper, they just thought this wasn't really where I want to go with it. And to be, by the way, Coach Rule, Matt Rule, that took the job in Carolina, he didn't even want to talk to the Browns.
Well, he wouldn't be the only one.
No, but I'm just saying. Well, and that's why I got these emails. How could they let Mike McCarthy out of the building? He wasn't going to go with the Browns. He went in
I'm surprised he got into the building.
Right. It was just a backup in case Jerry Jones changed his mind.
Sure.
And they said, well, what about, how can Jerry Jones get these guys and Ron Rivera, even Ron Rivera going to Washington? I didn't realize. You know how long Jay Gruden was there?
No.
5.5 years. There's like bastions of stability, 10 years for Jason Garrett in Dallas. Yeah, you got a kind of a hands-on owner.
You think about Jerry Jones, he doesn't, and yet you got almost 10 years here with come on, help me out here.
What are you talking about?
Jerry Jones,
with Jason Garrett.
Yeah,
with the
Jason
Cowboys.
Garrett.
Yeah.
He didn't fire him.
No. Frankly, I probably would have let him go a couple of times. He kept going 8-8. So anyway, in other words, that's why, by the way, Mike McCarthy jumped a chance to take that job, not just be in Dallas, but it's like he probably goes, I'm a better coach than Jason Garrett.
Yeah, I would think. All right, Kevin Stefanski, what does he bring? Let's take a look at his coaching resume and see what we have here. All right, he's 37 years old, and take a look at that. He was an assistant director of football operations with Penn. That wasn't that long ago. His father's in the basketball business.
Right, his father was a GM in the NBA. He's now like a special advisor type thing with the Pistons.
You see there about Gary Kubiak. How much credit does Kubiak have, or does Stefanski get a lot of it?
I give Stefanski credit for talking to Gary Kubiak and getting some lessons. That's what a young guy does who's smart. Now, the one thing interesting there is he's been to the Vikings since 2006. He's gone through a couple coaching changes and survived, so he must know something.
Well, the other side, he's been there a long time and not getting promoted.
Well, he didn't. No, actually, he started like as an office boy, actually, in 2006.
Well, that's not unusual.
But I'm saying he's moved up to offensive coordinator. And remember, Les, as you say, he's only 37 now.
Why did it not work with Josh McDaniels and the Cleveland Browns?
I just think, McDaniels he wants to do a Belichick thing. That's number one. Now, this
you mean with control of what he
analytics aside or whatever, I happen to be very guarded on people who want to do that, especially when they tried it one other time and it didn't go well.
Right.
And I'm sure that, the back of your mind, if you're the Browns, you're insecure to begin with. And yet, so I get rid of the ''depodesta and everything else. And what if this guy changes his mind again? You want to think it's not going to happen?
Right, but you don't know.
It's the Browns. You're afraid. Now, does that mean you have to go into Stefanski's camp or anywhere else? But I will go back to, again, after that, this is the first actual interview he's had since he backed out of that job in 2018.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's baggage there. There's no question about it. What do you make?
Flip side, by the way.
Okay.
Brilliant on offense. He is. Because Belichick, you always got to watch Belichick's defensive coordinators, because Bill doesn't do much with the offense, So the plays you see, the way they've been able with a makeshift offensive line some years and these, receivers that weren't doing anything, that's Tom. The play calling is Tom. I'm sorry, that's not just Tom Brady, rather. It's also Josh McDaniels. I had an old guy's moment because, of course, Tom McDaniels is a legendary father and coach. But in other words, that's a McDaniels-Brady production. And the fact, too, that, you could have a breakup with a star quarterback in all those years, too, and they didn't.
Absolutely. What do you make of the stories that have been running rampant about Jimmy-Haslam demanding that the head coach, whoever it was going to be, meets with him on Friday mornings or afternoons to go over the game plan? That makes everybody look silly, for starters, if it in fact is true. So what do you get from that?
Some of these are going to be true and some not. Because the other thing, too, when guys don't get jobs, their agents go to work and kind of pass out stories to the media. This is why they didn't do it. One of the things I know that's fairly common with some owners and that is on Mondays, the head coach or GM would generally meet with an owner on kind of what happened during the game.
Right. Well, that's understandable.
Carve an hour out. That is understandable. If I owned the team, I'd want to hear and that. Again, I'm not going.
But I wouldn't want to know the Friday before what the game plan is.
You should not be in the minutia of the game plan.
All right. When we come back, we'll take a look at what the Vikings did under Stefanski in 2019. And we'll come back and we'll also talk about the search for the GM. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and the winning is happening all over the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game today. We'll come back. Terry Pluto is with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. The search for the GM and more. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This portion of More Sports and Less Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Tom Gola. Tom Gola is the first guy I ever remember seeing on TV play ball.
That's an old NBA name, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Lukewarm. Kevin Mitchell, former Indian.
Kevin Mitchell almost killed Chad Curtis in a locker room brawl
in fact,
on a pool table.
In Jim Ingram's book, it talks about that.
Yes,
Morgan
Jimmy's
Burnett,
book is excellent,
it's terrific.
by the way,
And
yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Nick Mangold?
Oh, okay. Oh, Doug Martin. Okay.
Doug Martin. Well, the running back, Doug Martin,
yeah,
that's probably who it is. But there also is a coach, Doug Martin, who was at Kent State and is now at New Mexico State.
Okay, you have some Cavaliers information?
Yes, Dylan Windler. We just saw the Cavs send out a notice. Dylan Windler, their number 27th pick, their first-round pick, is out for the year. He's had this stress fracture thing in his foot or leg, and he's out for the year. The other piece of news, we got two more. Should I just keep going?
Fire away.
All right. Press conference tomorrow at 1 for the Browns. And then congratulations to Vince Karras from Mount Union. He's being actually brought to the University of Toledo. They're announcing his linebackers coach, but I think he could end up being like defensive coordinator or something like that. So
excellent. Well, good luck to him.
How about this? You like this, Les?
Okay.
The Karras father-son combination.
Right.
They were at Mount Union for 34 years. They lost a total of 32 games.
Around one a year. That is
yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to believe. 13 national titles.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the general manager candidates for the Cleveland Browns, see what we've got going. Andrew Berry is first. We'll put him up there. Currently Director of Football Operations, VP of Football Operations with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Only 1 year. Why is he leaving or want to leave?
1 year. Well, basically, this would be a promotion. And VP of Football Operations is kind of like a number 2 or number 3 guy.
Okay.
He had the same job with the Browns. See, it's the same exact title. Football Operations, VP of any of these VP type things.
Right.
You're not
in
on
limbo.
top. Yeah. You're like, that's why when people are throwing out, here's all the guys that Andrew Berry drafted when he was here. We don't know that he drafted them.
Right.
I mean, he may have, maybe he liked Deshaun Watson. We don't know. You'd have to find what reports he turned in. But this would be where he would be kind of in that sort of the Sashi Brown role.
Let's take a look at George-Paton, see what he's got going. George-Paton, a GM candidate, currently is the Vikings assistant general manager. Spent 13 years with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota, and they've had 6 playoff appearances in that time. And what do you know about him?
Not much.
No,
I don't mean to be there. I mean, Rick Spielman does it there.
Right.
And much like we explained about Sashi Brown, and then Andrew Berry, Spielman was making the picks, Sashi Brown was making the main picks there.
Right.
So here is the big issue where I worry about how the GM thing has been kind of tossed. Oh, and then we'll hire a general manager. If you don't pick good players, your numbers aren't worth a whole lot. With your analytics and everything else.
Sure.
This is where, Dorsey will be missed. He missed on some picks and all that. But, you start getting Nick Chubb in the second round and you look at by the way, Austin Corbett, they tossed him out of here like he was nothing. I'm not saying he's that good, but he did start for the Rams when he went over there.
Yeah, which is what you needed here.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really. Was he worse than Eric Kush? The Rams didn't think so. I think the point being that you have to have an eye for talent, and I hope one of those two guys does have that.
Here's the other problem I see. A new guy comes in, and there's some key players who were brought in by Dorsey, and he may not want any part of them. So what do you do? And Odell Beckham is a name that comes to mind. You also have to buy into your quarterback. That's the key guy, right?
Yeah, I think the quarterback situation, that's settled in advance. You know, Stefanski, he probably went in with a plan for Baker Mayfield. I started saying
but he wasn't going to go in
Baker Mayfield.
But he wasn't going to go in and say, get rid of that guy, and then I'll come here.
No, but I also think that Stefanski's an Ivy League guy, went to Penn, knows how it works, you know, and in terms of you've got to make sure you're sort of hooked up with the right quarterbacks. What has helped Stefanski get the job was the fact that he did have Kirk Cousins. Now, he took Kirk Cousins from okay to above average to pretty good, you know. Case Keenum, he was there with Pat Shurmur, by the way. Shurmur turned that guy. But those guys had something to work with, you know, from the start.
And you have to wonder how much Kubiak had to do with it.
And that's fine. Steal his offense. You know what offense Kyle Shanahan runs? Mike Shanahan's offense, his father, who taught it to Gary Kubiak.
Right.
So, you know, that zone blocking and that run stuff. I was watching, when you watch that game, by the way, I can't put a whole lot of stock in how the Vikings struggled in that game when the 49ers are on their game defensively.
They're terrific.
And, you know, the thing, too, that really I like about that style offense, and I hope it works here with the Browns, the heavy-duty run, is your offense is on the field for a long time with the running, so your defense is not out there all the time. So when they come on the field, they're rested because your offense just had a 5-minute drive or a 7-minute drive.
You mentioned Ed Dodds, Colts assistant GM. He declined to interview with the Browns. Do you know why?
Because he probably figured he wasn't going to get it. He was supposed to be coming in and say, well, if had Robert Saleh gotten the job as the head coach, he was going to come in with him. So, I mean, most people think these are your two guys that are going to get it. And, you know, maybe they're good, maybe they're not. It's just like all those guys that the Browns hired, Brian Daboll and Eric Bieniemy and Nick Roman and Stefanski, all those guys they interviewed that were not head coaches before, I'm probably forgetting one or two. Put their names in a hat, close your eyes and draw one out. And maybe that guy is good, maybe he isn't. But until you really see how they do it, you don't know.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, so there are some potential upcoming free agents. We put together a list of people. This is almost like a mock draft, but the Browns right here, unrestricted, Greg Robinson, Rashard-Higgins, Demarius Randall, Joe Schobert.
Yeah.
We got to kill an hour, Terry.
I mean it is, because here's where you run into exactly what Les Levine said: the old versus the new. Now, had John Dorsey been here, I could tell you probably Greg Robinson stays because he liked Robinson. He was not a big Joe Schobert fan, but guess who drafted Joe Schobert?
Yeah.
Analytics guys. They're back around for more.
You think? Well, you can't even say. Do you think, for example, Kareem-Hunt will stay? You have no idea.
Yeah, although see, he is one of those restricted, exclusive rights restricted free agents. I'm going to get lost in the weeds here, but the basic thing being they can put a first-round tender on the guy.
Right.
It's really hard to get rid of.
All right, a couple of McRae's there, and Brian Cox, who actually I thought did well in a couple games he was here.
Another guy, all right, Rashard-Higgins. Who drafted him? The analytics guys.
The analytics guys, and which might be why he wasn't used by the Dorsey guys.
Yeah, right, fell out of favor. And see, that's it's a significant thing you brought up, and is one of the big arguments of the purges that go on all the time with, you know.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen in the offseason, it happens during the season.
Right, well, it happens the offseason, it happens during the season. But now, for example, there was no real movement on Schobert's contract. Maybe there will be now.
Correct.
Because ''Podesta was part of the team that drafted him, and I think they probably feel good about their 4th-round pick from 2016, became one of the leaders on the defense. You know, the Browns, now the Dorsey people thought that he was not the sure run-stopping middle linebacker they'd like. You know, he was more of the intellectual linebacker, got to be lined up and that kind of stuff, and pretty good in pass coverage.
216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at reallesLevine@gmail.com. What is next for the Browns? We'll find out. Northeast Factory Direct, I know it's next for them. They've got 3 locations. Maybe 4 might be next. Of course, it is 4 if you count northeastfactorydirect.com. East, west, and south. South, of course, is the Freeway Drive in Macedonia. You got it on Lakeland Boulevard, the old B&B Appliance Building, and West 140th Street. And Alex saves you money. You're going to pay less than half price, believe it or not, on almost everything in the store. And how can they do that? Well, they pay about 1/10 what the big box stores pay in rent, and they pass it on to you. You've been doing it for 20 years. Alex started it out in a garage in Lakewood with one piece of furniture, and look what he's turned it into, one of the great success stories in merchandising here in northeastern Ohio. We'll come back in a moment. Big news in Houston. If you're a baseball fan, More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Nature Stone's 30-year anniversary with a free Nature Stone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Nature Stone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Just because I'm not $1 million price doesn't mean I'm worthless. We middle prices get zero respect. We're worth hundreds, even thousands. I mean, I'm a handsome bag of money. And there's $110 million worth of us in the Ohio Lottery Cash Celebration scratch-off alone. Plus, the odds of winning are off the chart. 1 in 3.
Play the $30 cash celebration for a chance to win up to $1 million.
You see?
Oh, and lots of prizes between $100 and $1,000.
Everybody wants $1 million. Would $500 be so bad? Come on.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
All right, Terry, you're a wordsmith. How come we may not be able to call a 14-13 baseball game a slugfest?
I have a question before we get.
Yeah,
Your
go ahead.
Honor, I have another question
go
for
ahead.
you. In that meeting, the infamous slug/thug meeting.
Yes.
Okay. As someone who's also in his 60s, I can confuse my words too. So let's start
Who
with
can't?
that. But you have not one, not two. You have like 4 assistant coaches and some veteran players.
Took 3 hours to realize he made.
Why didn't somebody say, Coach, did you just say thugs? I'm serious.
I know you're serious.
You know, like J.V. Bickerstaff's supposed to be there. And you know what would have happened? I said, what?
Yeah.
Thugs. No, I'm talking slugs. I'm talking slow worms, you know. And then you do, and you and I have done it, that the senior moment thing. And that's the end of it.
And that's the end of it.
Somebody has to.
And somebody called somebody, Woj or somebody, during that 2 hours.
Somebody told their agent who told Woj.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Well, shame on all those people.
I agree. But I also I'm going to go back to that other point. It's somewhat significant because Les, again, I'm 2 years younger than John Beeline. I make more mistakes now, especially my original copy, than I did 5 years ago or 10 years ago. My wife, Roberta, has to read it carefully. We even now have like rosters of teams we're checking names. Now, that doesn't mean you're not that good or whatever, but you have to be more careful. The Cavaliers have to understand that, you know, Beeline brings a lot of wisdom and a lot of things to this, but you have to help your coach. Nobody helped him with that meeting.
No, you're right. It's not like they all went in and said, oh, They weren't the only ones who knew. So everybody heard it.
Everybody heard it. Yeah, it was in a film session. And it was kind of funny. I guess Colin Sexton later goes, he always calls us slugs because we're slow. Well, fine, but still don't let that word, just so you know, and unless, the other thing I found too is I'll start misspelling a thing the wrong way over and over. I need somebody to like send me an email, my boss
Remind
would
you
say,
it's not that way.
you are spelling this wrong.
They were telling me, somebody somewhere was telling me that whenever Hal Lebovitz would write Cal Ripken, he would spell it wrong, and they couldn't retrain him to spell it the correct, the R-I and the E-N.
We're like computers with a lot of stuff on our hard drive, and this is, again, not to say, you know, the guy can't coach at 66 or whatnot, and you could also misspeak at 30-some, but help him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, some baseball news, and not that, well, spring training right around the corner, actually, pitchers and catchers. So some action coming down on the Houston Astros for their, we can't even say alleged cheating. It's more than
cheaters.
alleged.
They're dirty down in the, yeah, just.
So aj-hinch was the manager.
Can we pound on some garbage cans?
Jeff Lunau was the GM. So they each get fined by Major League, they get suspended by Major League Baseball for a year, which is significant. The owner says, you know what, that's not enough. So they fired both of them.
I would have had to do the same thing too, because how do you...
You're selling tickets.
And also you just... It's kind of like hiring a basketball coach, and I know they do it, that's been like on probation 3 times.
Right.
You know everybody's looking at everything. And not that you, but you just don't want that spotlight on you.
And Houston is so good. What are they doing that for?
It's like when Albert Belcourt this bat. Guy back then in the middle 90s, he could hit a home run with a toothpick. And he's corking his bat.
But it was a great story.
And when Belichick got caught with the videotaping.
He's getting caught against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. Whatever that was, I don't know. But I mean the old one before.
Yeah.
But to get to here, so what else did they take away from them?
A couple of first-round picks this year and next, and a big fine. Big fine on top of it.
I was thinking, they should take those draft picks. See what you think of this, Les. Not just take them away from the Astros. Give them to the teams that in the playoffs they cheated against.
Okay.
Well, Yankees, Indians.
Yeah.
Who else? I forgot who else.
Maybe the Red Sox.
Red Sox, yeah. Whoever it was, just, yeah.
Dennis Manoff had an idea that I said, that's absurd. And then the more I thought of it, you ever come up with stuff like that?
He'll come up with that. At first it seems dumb, and then it's like, there's something about that.
He said Boston and Houston should start the season 0-5. And you can make up the games, let them play each other those 5 games, so you don't take...
They both lose. And they both lose. They both get an out.
And I said, that's crazy. And then I thought about it. I said, what's so crazy about it?
That's one way too, but I'll tell you, in the analytics world of baseball,
right,
those draft picks, especially first and second rounders, are gold. And by the way, remember, Houston is kind of the king of baseball analytics. They have all this stuff going.
Right.
So I would have slammed them with even more. I'd have to look and see exactly how many picks.
All right,
but I would say at least 3 first rounders.
Let's go to the phones. We'll say hi to BP and Pepper Pike. BP, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Good, good.
Well, I have to say I was extremely disappointed the way the Browns coaching search went. I thought the Browns, after they got rid of Dorsey, sort of had like a master plan. And then, that master plan was Josh McDaniels and bring over some of the executives from the Patriots. But it looks like, that didn't pan out. They went with 'Podesta. I have no regard for Paul-Depodesta. I actually hope this fails. And then they'll finally get rid of 'Podesta because what has he done in NFL football?
I hate the hope. We hope he fails. Well, we haven't had enough failure, so then,
There's to me, I want to see the Browns win, but if they had hired Josh McDaniels, chances are, probability, 60% he would have been good, 70%, whatever. With Kevin Stefanski, I think it's about a 20% chance he'll be good.
That's based
opinion.
on what? What is that based on?
Based on he's never been a coach anywhere. He's only been in one organization. His dad probably got him the job to begin with, as a sort of like entry level at the Minnesota-Vikings. I mean, if you look at the Vikings offense, it wasn't much better than the Browns offense this year, and that was with Freddie Kitchens calling the shot.
BP, we talk about Freddie Kitchens with 10 years as a running back coach or whatever he was, and then you have Stefanski, who's got more than that with the same organization and didn't become a coordinator till this past year. So I think you have legitimate questions here.
Yeah, I mean
I'm
all
just
these
very
guys.
disappointed. I think Jimmy-Haslam should be on the hot seat here. And, you guys are in the media. I mean, I really think if this doesn't pan out in the next year, I really think Haslam should sell the team. This is just really hard for Browns fans to swallow, all this losing, and it really traces back to Haslam, all his bad decisions.
There's a problem with owners.
Yeah, they own.
You got it. It's like if you live in a house that somebody else owns, you're kind of like stuck with the owner. And I guess you could switch houses or switch teams, but that's the problem, right? We get stuck with these brownies.
I know, it really is. I feel bad for the fan.
Yeah, I do too.
When
I
Haslam
really do.
came over here, there was optimism. Like, they were sort of, they were versed with the Steelers, so they kind of knew what they were doing. No, maybe the Steelers wanted the Haslams to come here, so we'd be bad forever.
Yeah. Can I make a request? Let's drop this thing about Haslams with Pittsburgh. They were just there to
went to a few parties and watched it from the suite.
Watched the games, ate a great lunch.
I mean, they're so tight knit there with their GM and Tomlin, the coach, and their player personnel department. And it's like when you go over to Baltimore. This is the family that Ozzie Newsome begot, and Eric DeCosta runs it, and you got the Harbaughs, and frankly, half the front office is still people left over from Cleveland.
Absolutely.
And they just do it their way.
BP, we got to go. Great to talk to you as always. You can explore your interests and find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information about Tri-C. We'll come back, find out what Mike Musetta's thinking, and more. More Sports and Les-Levine continues with Terry Pluto exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. The Wilt the Stilt scores a then record 73 points. Philadelphia Warriors. Did you remember they were called the Chicago Packers?
Yes. Well, I wasn't around for that, but I do. I mean, I was alive in '62.
Right.
I wasn't.
They eventually became the franchise that is the Washington Wizards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
eventually,
keep moving
with
that.
a couple of moves here and there.
And Will 73. I mean, the 1 year he averaged 50 after that.
Yeah, unbelievable. I remember some writer, I believe Hal, said that he was a one-dimensional player. He could only dunk, and then so he went out and he had 100 assists that night or something.
Well, the 1 year he led the league in assists
Yeah.
and that. I actually interviewed Wilt twice in my life. The first time I'm a rookie writer in Greensboro, and he comes out, he was playing professional volleyball. By the way, think about that, running into Wilt at the net. And so I met him at the airport to interview him. and he says, they were staying like a Holiday Inn at the airport. Would you just meet me there in the lobby? I don't want to interview you.
How will I know who you are?
Yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, I thought for sure he was going to stiff me. You know what? Now, remember, I'm like young. I'm like 22. He takes me up to his hotel room. He has like this food. He was eating all this health food stuff.
Right.
And he talked to me for like an hour about basketball and volleyball and all that stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nobody.
He knew you were going to be somebody. Let's go to somebody who is somebody. That's Mike Masetta from Nature Stone. Wow, it's Nature Stone. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Les. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Terry Pluto's with us. This is, I believe, you and I have been together for our 7th new Browns coach. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think we're definitely on number 7, I believe. Les.
Do you think we can get into double digits?
Yeah, it seems like every right around this time you're asking me. So what do you think about this new coach?
Yeah, I don't think it's 7, but it's on its way. All right. So what do you think about this new coach?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's another. I believe it's been referred to as offensive coordinator guy. And there's a lot of those out there. Saleh was a defensive coordinator guy, and so you really don't know how these guys are going to pan out. I know that this was, according to reports, 'Podesta's first choice last year, and he was running the show this year, so it doesn't surprise me that they hired him. He comes with a pretty good pedigree and track record. So somebody's got to be the next great coach to come out of the coordinator ranks. Why not Stefanski? So we'll see what happens.
I mean, if you go right into your point, Mike, I mean, if you go through Kyle Shanahan, they knew he was a good coordinator, but could he be a good head coach? Nobody knew. He is. Sean McDermott, by the way, who the Podesta wanted to hire instead of Hugh Jackson, he was sort of a real no-name. In Buffalo was kind of like, who was that? And he's done a good job with the Bills. And the biggest one like that is when Doug Peterson was hired from Andy Reid's staff. Doug, who is a quarterback with the Browns briefly and some others, he wasn't even calling plays in Kansas City. He goes to Philadelphia. Mike Lombardi, who sometimes is right and sometimes is wrong, called it the worst coaching hire he'd ever seen. And the guy has to win a Super Bowl. And, of course, we can make a whole list of these other guys, like you said, these offensive coordinator guys who come and go, and there you are.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Interesting thing about McDaniels, is there a reason why, or maybe I'll just ask the question, he was in Denver for a couple of years, and then there was about a 10-year period where he seemed to be the hottest name in head coaching, but up until I think last year with the Colts, I don't know that he ever even got called for an interview, by a team.
The Browns talked to him in 14.
With the exception of maybe the Browns called him for an interview. Why is that? So over a decade's worth of time, this guy who's supposed to be the second coming of Bill Belichick and is the hottest name in coaching, at the very least, rarely gets interviewed for jobs. Is that his doing, or is that maybe the GM's saying something like, hey, there's a reason why we're not calling for this guy?
Well, there were clearly some reasons. The thing in Denver ended badly. He started 6-0 and then went 5-17 after that. Didn't survive his second year. He had kind of a full power play thing that fell apart on him. The thinking was he wanted to come in and run everything. And then, as you saw, then the whole fiasco that happened in Indiana. As I said earlier, he's a brilliant offensive mind. He really is. This is not. You always have to watch the defensive coordinators with Bill, but not the offensive coordinator. He's doing it.
Terry, I can just see that when they're going over, the argument was not over how much money he was going to be paid. That money is at that point is no object when you start cleaning house every other year or so. But if you own a team and a guy is telling you the only way this is going to get better is if you give me 75% of the control, or whatever that number is, that's got to be hard for these guys with business egos like that to give that up.
Especially when the guy doesn't have the track record to show that when I'm in charge of everything, it does work. It would be one thing like if you go and, even like Mike McCarthy could go into, well, he wasn't the player personnel guy. He can go in with Jerry Jones and say, look, I went to the playoffs 9 times in 14 years, and, you and I should do this together. I should have a lot of power.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's hard for these guys to give it up.
Sure it is.
Especially, as Terry says, if there's no guarantee. What do you think, just your own feeling about the acceptance here by the fans of Cleveland? I sense it's terrible. I can't see anybody behind it for that reason. There might have been some reason to believe that somebody else would have done a better job, but there's no guarantee on that either.
Well, there's nothing sexy about the pick.
No.
So, Mike McCarthy would have been a sexy pick. Like, he has a track record. I liken Mike McCarthy to, I'm not comparing them, but potentially a Don Shula. We could have just missed out. Shula went from the Colts, Baltimore at the time, to Miami. We could have been the team that missed out on McCarthy going from, Green Bay to Cleveland. So that would have been the pick that I think got everybody, excited.
The problem Mike, is he wasn't coming here.
No, he wasn't going to come here, but why did he take the interview?
I just wanted to make sure, because until you have that job, because he probably knew he could get it.
The Dallas one.
Yeah, no, I mean Cleveland,
the Cleveland
first.
One, yeah.
Because he's interviewing with Dallas later. But Mike, you're right about the other Mike. You really are. And whether some people say maybe he could be the next Andy Reid, that kind of thing. But I think we'd be having a entirely different dialogue here if that were the coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Sure. And I don't know that there's any other coach, with the exception of McCarthy and McDaniels, that were available or talked about or on the radar. Every other coach that was out there was a coordinator guy that could be good or could not be good. And, no matter which person got picked, it wasn't going to make the fans happy. I mean, we'd be sitting here having probably the same conversation that the fans would be in the same predicament if they would have hired Dable.
Yeah,
or,
and I wonder
any of them.
Nick Roman, any of those guys.
Yeah, I wonder how much of a honeymoon period Stefanski's going to have. Probably not as much as some previous guys.
Not much.
And it's not anything about him. It's about the way it was handled around him.
It was kind of a crummy year to hire a coach because the other two guys who were out there were recently fired. You had Jay Gruden, and you had Garrett. Jason Garrett, along with Rivera. Washington targeted him real soon, and McCarthy. That was it. So, some years there's some pretty good guys out there, but not this year.
They didn't want to wait to talk to Jason Garrett either.
Perception is sometimes reality. Minnesota their offense just got clobbered by Salay's defense, in the 49ers. And I think it was the very next day they announced the hiring of Stefanski. And so you're hiring a coach that just got, his brains beat in by the other coaching candidate that you had on your radar.
But you don't want to.
The day before.
You don't want to judge anything on one game.
Yeah.
No, of course not. I'm just saying that it's perception. It's
why the fans are upset. That's a good point.
Just got done watching that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't. I'm not personally judging it like that. I'm just saying from a fan's perspective. You just got done seeing this, and then they just hired the guy who won.
Right.
I think their concern on
second best again.
See what you think on this, Mike. I think the concern on Sala is, okay, he's a leader and he's good on defense. What are we going to do about offense?
Yeah. Well, you're going to need an offensive coordinator here too.
Unless you could bring in maybe Jason Garrett, who at one time was considered a really good offensive coordinator, or who else is actually a good offensive coordinator? And I forgot who's going to hire him. Pat Shurmur is a good offensive coordinator.
Right.
Not a good head coach.
That is for sure. All right, we're going to take a break. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Great to talk to you.
Take care.
Terrific. Thank you very much. That's what Mike is thinking. Northeast Factory Direct. They've got 3 great locations, east, west, and south. East side, the old B&B appliance store. You've got west side at West 140th Street, and of course Freeway Drive in Macedonia. You're going to save a lot of money. You're going to save it on kitchen cabinets. You're going to save it on hot tubs. You're going to save it on mattresses. You're going to save it on everything. I could list them all day long. All I know is you're going to save a lot of money. You're going to pay less than half price on just about everything in any of those stores. Check them out at northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University Inn. Terry, I guarantee you the Sokolowskis, are very happy that Kevin Stefanski is coming to town. They'll have to make room on their Polish Hall of Fame at Sokolowski's for the new head coach.
They got to get him in the building. They always say that in the
Get him in the building.
Get him in the building.
No question about it. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn, Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant located in Tremont. It's been there since their grandmother started it all in 1923. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at a lot of responses to our Facebook question of the day. Terry Pluto with us. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com. Sokolowski's and Stefanski's. Perfect.
Yeah.
Get Nature's Stone and never replace your basement flooring again. Your concrete is uneven, damp, and not healthy. Carpet and tile don't last, breed mold and mildew, and give worthless warranties. Nature's Stone permanently corrects uneven concrete and is not affected by dampness or moisture. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of January. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
This date in Les-levine history. 1974, Hal Greer of the 76ers used to shoot jump shots. Remember that instead of foul shots? Les thought that he should have been awarded 2 points instead of 1 for those one-pointers. I often wondered why more players didn't do that, because they always shoot jump shots and rarely shoot standing 15-footers.
Well, I think they're always worried about jumping over the line, but...
Could be. That was a fun team to watch, the 76ers back in those days. All right, we have a Facebook question of the day, Terry.
Yes.
As you sit here on January 13th, 2020, are the Browns better off today than they were on January 13th, 2019? What do you think most people will say? Michael Serralo, as long as the Haslams own the team, the answer is no. Yeah. Haslam is Steinbrenner without any of the advantages of baseball in New York City. Timothy Rober, my guess would be no. The guy who gave the Haslams their most talented roster is no longer in the building.
Stop loss. That is a very important point right there. John-Dorsey will be missed. Now, he has some weaknesses and all that, but when it comes to this draft, I'd feel a lot better with him than whatever. The great unknown, basically.
John Marusa says roster talent, head coach, and an upcoming draft with free agency, yes. Ownership, no.
Okay.
Ed Watkins, not to be a cockeyed optimist, but perhaps this is the time ownership gets it right. We shouldn't be as giddy as we were with the Kitchen hiring, but guaranteed optimism might be a good approach for all Browns fans. Daniel Chick, no, we had a GM who can evaluate talent, and Haslam wasn't meddling. Eric James, we're not winning the offseason this year. Gary Halloway,
well,
no.
That's true.
Same church, different pew. Dennis Davis, too early to tell, but I think we're heading down the same bad road. Bring back Randy Lerner.
Boy, I haven't seen that one for a while.
Your friend, Larry Pantages. Yes, because profits every year go up, up, up. Oh, wait, we're talking about the team on the field.
Oh, Larry, you bitter man.
No analytic data is available to compare. Come get me in September. We'll do that. We're going to do that. You want to comment on any of those?
Yeah, well, first of all, Larry Pantages is, hold up the book. Hold the book.
Hold up the on cue.
He is my researcher and first editor on this book. Remember I mentioned before, as you get older, you need help. So Larry got everything right. If there's something wrong, that's on me. And he also was my previous book, Browns Blues. Is that still in viable, Browns Blues?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Larry was the sports editor for the Beacon, right?
Journal.
And then a business editor.
Business editor. He was part of a Pulitzer Prize-winning business team. Really a talented guy. So,
wow.
Hey, I only hire the best, Les, just like you.
Well, not necessarily. No, that's very, very true. Can't do this show without it. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can reach us on email during the show, and that would be at real-les-levine@gmail.com. How many different email addresses, phone numbers do you have? Lots?
No. Emails, I have 2.
Oh,
no,
that's
3.
Not bad. We also have a voicemail of Truth and Reason. If you'd like to call us when we're not on the air, we're on the air 6 to 7 Eastern Time live, and then you can watch us, you can archive us all day and all night. But if you want to leave us a message, you can do that at 216-200-6650. Call anytime, leave messages, and we'll use the best ones on future shows. When we come back, we're going to take a look at, listen to some How Come Quickies, and we'll get some final thoughts from Terry Pluto. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of January. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, will join us. Wednesday night, it'll be Hoynesy, Paul Hoynes, and then on Thursday, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Everybody has a nickname. You have one? You ever have one as a kid?
No, not that I would tell you. I would think about it. What's my last name?
Pluto.
Where do you think that's going to take you for nicknames? Nowhere good is the answer.
Any planet in the system.
Been kicked out of the
That's some
solar
quickies.
system. Yes. Do them fast.
This is from Tom Randazzo. Good evening, Les and Terry. I have no problem with Stefanski being hired, especially adding a year of Kubek to his resume is a big positive. The problem is Jimmy-Haslam.
No. But he's right. And there's nothing wrong with, by the way, making an obvious point, because that's why it's obvious, and it is a huge one.
Toledo
I didn't mean
Mike.
to put him down. Go ahead.
How come my little dog is a Yankee fan? He came from New Yorkie.
You're an expert on this.
I don't want to grade them tonight.
Okay.
This is from Big Ed. How come when the teacher asked Johnny if I say I am beautiful, what tense is that? And it said obviously past. That's good.
That is sharp.
I don't see the humor in this one. We're going to try it. How come the Scooby-Doo gang just didn't go to the costume store and ask a few questions first? It might mean something that I missed.
Sometimes you just try to do too much.
I think John Patrick is on the disabled list. He hasn't missed a quickie in...
Oh, okay.
Let me see. No. Huh. Mr. Gullible's here. How come women have cleaner minds? Because they change them so often.
All right.
How come I've been overwhelmed and underwhelmed, but I've never been whelmed? Hey, Terry, I'll see you at the Stowe Library. Mr. Gullible, when are you going to the Stowe Library?
I am going to the Stowe Library in February, and I cannot think of the date. But, by the way, quick plug.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, 6 p.m., the new Philadelphia Library. I will be there Wednesday night at 6.
This from Bruce. How come the Browns just don't hire me as their new head coach? I have no experience as head coach. I can lose as many games as the next guy, and I wouldn't mind being paid after they fire me, Kitchens, Jackson, Chud, Pettin. Please, somebody hire me.
No. I did. Have they taken down the still hiring sign in front of Berea? You know, like when we were growing up, the motto for the Indians was always, good seats always available.
Yep.
Now it's like for the Browns, always,
Always interviewing.
Always interviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish it would get better.
Yeah, and that's when the caller, I think it was BP, called in, and I sort of said, oh, no, but he said, I hope it fails. I don't. Whether
No,
I
don't
like
think
it,
he does either.
He doesn't either. It's just, it's a black church thing. My good friend Bishop Joey Johnson from House of the Lord says, when your heart's broke, your head don't work right.
There you have it.
And he goes, I intentionally butchered the grammar to make the point.
Right.
But he's true. When our heart's broke, our head does not work right.
All right, Terry's book, Vintage Cavs. Great stuff. If you like the old time stuff. I can't believe that Nick Milletti got the arena, got the uniform, got the
Coliseum?
the franchise,
got the
Coliseum built.
Hockey.
Frank Sinatra first night there.
He had the Indians.
He had the Indians. He had the big radio station in town.
He had no money.
He had no money.
And he did it at a time. This is the book where is in the book where in the 70s in Cleveland it was dead. Remember, there wasn't like there was a lot of action going on economically.
So much he wound up building the Coliseum halfway between Cleveland and
because Cleveland was not interested. And when you go back and look at it, that's why part of the reason that the chapter on the miracle ritual, I call it a miracle, because it's a miracle the Cavs didn't fold. It was a miracle they didn't move.
And
it was a miracle they built this thing.
What an exciting period of time.
It really was.
Yeah. All right, we got to go. Thank you, Terry Pluto. Cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. I'll see you tomorrow night with Bud Shaw of all the shows I've ever done. This was the most recent.
Tonight.
Right now.